to Pet Talk, and happy July 4th. We're celebrating our independence with our July 4th Pet Talk party, beginning with this fun 4th of July fact. Did you know that one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, wanted to make the wild turkey our national bird, but he was outvoted by both John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, who chose the bald eagle, a bird of prey native only to North America, as the official bird of the United States of America, and we never looked back. Okay, well, hard not to look at this guy and smile. Meet Wally, a 4-year-old mutt from Chico, California, who beat out 30 other pooches to be crowned the ugliest dog in the world. That's right, competition was tough. Typically, the winners are Chihuahuas and Chinese Cressets, or a combination of the two. But one look at Wally, a huge-headed, duck-footed mix of a beagle, a boxer, and a basset hound, and he reigned supreme. Wally won a $1,500 prize and then got to make several network TV appearances, including NBC's Today Show and ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live. The Ugliest Dog competition takes place every year. This is the 25th annual event at the fairgrounds in California, and organizers say the dogs are judged on their natural ugliness in both pedigree and mutt classes. Congratulations, Wally. I think you're cute. Well, look at this guy over here. Maybe you'll think he's cute. He certainly is unusual. This is an alligator snapping turtle. Wait till he opens up his mouth. Let's find out more. Please welcome our friend Chris Evers, who is the founder of Animal Embassy, a wonderful teaching and conservation organization based right in Stamford. Happy 4th of July, Chris. You're always so busy spreading the word about animals and, of course, their importance in the natural world. So first, please tell me about this snapper, because he's really, you've never brought him on before, and he just sort of looks like a big old frog and a turtle combined.
Well, thank you for having us back, and happy 4th of July to you. This is one of our newest additions. As you know, Lauren, we take a lot of the animals that others will not take, and the family that had this one had actually called the Maritime Aquarium to ask them if they would take it, and they directed them to Animal Embassy. So we're happy to have him, but this is a long-term commitment here, and not an appropriate pet, as you can imagine, with a name like alligator snapping turtle. This is not a good pet. Very cool creature. This is our largest species of turtle in the United States, which is why I thought it would be great for your program about North American wildlife. So alligator snapping turtles get quite large. There was a report of one in Kansas that was 400 pounds.
Wow.
So this is young, and I can't tell you how old it is, because with animals that we're rescuing and adopting, we don't always get the whole story or the true story about the animal. But I'm happy he's with us, and he's been a great addition to our educational program. It's also very appropriate at this time of the year to bring this guy here, because these guys are not our native species to this area.
Right.
Our native species in this area is not an alligator snapping turtle. It's a common snapper. They don't have these ridges on the top of their shell.
Wow.
And they don't have that characteristic tongue of the alligator snapping turtle. They have a lure inside their mouth. So when they're sitting on the bottom with all those great markings that they have, and the color that they have, and the different protuberances that they have coming out, it really helps them to blend into the bottom. So they open up their mouth, and they're a lion-weight predator. They wait for the fish to come by. The fish goes into the mouth because it sees that little wiggling pink tongue, and so then the alligator snapping turtle bites down. I was mentioning before, we bite down at about 50 pounds of bite pressure with our front teeth. This animal can bite down with 1,500 pounds of bite pressure.
Oh, wow.
So once that fish swims in there, it's highly unlikely that it's swimming back out.
I don't think I'm going to pet him. And
no, that would be a good idea.
This is not a good pet.
No, and the kid that bought this bought a baby snapping turtle, alligator snapping turtle, from the pet trade, and unfortunately that's part of why these guys are doing really poorly, and in certain states in the United States it's an endangered species. I named this one Okefenokee because down south they're doing quite well still, but in some of the northern parts of their range, which includes Indiana, Illinois, they're not doing very well. Part of that's probably because it's not the best area for them to be. They're more associated with the south. But the pet trade, and also, believe it or not, the food trade.
Wow.
Turtle soup is not an uncommon thing in southern states. And unfortunately, these guys have fallen prey to that trade as well.
Wow, well, that's unusual, and it sort of has like lashes. I'd love to pet it, but I think this is one I won't attempt.
Yeah, probably better not to. yourself.
As we put him away and take another, I want to show folks some of the pictures. You have always, as always, have been very busy traveling, and you bring us the most luscious photographs. And today you've brought some in celebration of the 4th of July that we're showing everyone.
Yeah, so I really wanted to kind of start off with some animals that are local creatures. As you know, I photograph seals and migratory birds on Long Island Sound during the wintertime. Actually, I spend a lot more time on Long Island Sound in my boat in the winter than I do in the summer. And it's less people and tons of wildlife.
Oh, I bet.
We have all these beautiful Arctic birds like the coot and the loon, the longtail, just these gorgeous, gorgeous birds that most people never get to see because a lot of these guys are coming from the Arctic here for the winter. And of course, because Long Island Sound is a beautiful estuary with brackish water, it doesn't freeze and has tons of life. So these guys come and feed here during the wintertime like the seals do, but those guys are going up to places like Maine and possibly as far up as Greenland.
Wow.
So we've got the gray seal and the harbor seal, all these wonderful birds. And we also have a peregrine falcon that nests right on, or not nests, but roosts, a pair, male and female, on the lighthouse in Stamford, which is where I keep my boat. So they may be on other lighthouses, but I've absolutely seen them roosting pretty much every evening. If I go at sunset in the winter, I see this pair of peregrine falcons roosting on top of the lighthouse.
Amazing.
So great to see that they're back.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. And amazing photographs.
Thank you.
And this little guy, amazing.
So I brought with me some little baby turtles. I've got some baby red-eared sliders, and this is a turtle that many people are familiar with because many years ago, like when my parents were kids, these were very common pets, and they still are.
Right.
At this size, it's illegal to be selling them or buying them, but unfortunately in Manhattan, they're being sold on the street corners, and of course that's not legal, but it's still happening.
Why does...
Well, why is it not legal, or
No,
why is it still happening?
Right.
Oftentimes it's a byproduct of a food industry. The adults are being sold in some markets in Chinatown, and look, if they're raised for food, I don't personally have a problem with that, but some of the babies are then being sold on street corners in Manhattan and other places, and unfortunately these turtles are becoming a big problem in many states. They live naturally from Georgia over to Texas and then up to Indiana. That's their native habitat. But in many states in the United States, these turtles are now not only in the wild but reproducing.
Wow.
Their mother I found crossing the road in Pound Ridge, New York, and I have the mother
which
with me.
just goes to show the
And
size
Lauren,
difference.
if you wouldn't mind holding the baby, and if you just kind of hold it from the side so we can get a good idea of the difference. That's the baby. No, that's the baby. And that's the mother of that little baby. So what people are buying are the babies, and then when they get about half this size, most people are letting them go. And Binney Park, for example, in Greenwich, Connecticut, if you go to Binney Park and you look, most of the turtles there are red-eared sliders, and this is a non-native turtle, which is really causing problems for our native turtles, like the painted turtles, which are much smaller than this.
Right.
So they're being out-competed. And we do a lot of conversation with kids and adults about introduced invasive exotic species. So many people are talking about the Burmese pythons in Florida.
In Florida, right.
This is a problem that we have right here.
Well,
So-
these are so cute, but
and-
yeah.
But
you
they
don't let
grow
your
up,
pets
and
go.
we have to
Right,
understand
exactly.
when you get a pet, you have to know how big is it going to get, how long is it going to live, are you going to be able to care for it for its whole life, and if this is a pet for a child, this is not something that the child is likely to be engaged by for the long term.
Absolutely agree.
So we
and
gotta
that's
be
such a
smart.
good point. I know, and people need to really pay attention.
The mother of this cute little baby I found crossing the road right by my house in Pound Ridge, New York, which is also where I found that flamingo a number of years ago,
That's
which you
right,
might
I remember
remember.
that.
These things have a tendency to find me. But anyway, I
Luckily.
figured that she was likely crossing the road to lay eggs. I brought her to the vet, and sure enough, she was full of eggs, which means they're not only surviving, but they're breeding.
Yeah.
So absolutely, people should not be letting their pets go. And this is certainly an example of why this can become a big problem. And of course, it's not native, and it's a pet. You shouldn't be letting them go.
That's right. I mean, you hopefully wouldn't let your dog or cat go. So, wow, but those are very, very cute. And finally, we have something that's cute and very familiar to many people, because many people have ferrets as pets. Oh, that's a pretty one. or handsome? I don't know. Who's that, Chris?
This is Dakota.
Okay.
And Dakota is a domestic ferret. The reason I wanted to bring this animal for your program in honor of North American and United States wildlife is that in the United States we have a species of ferret, which is in the mustelid family, the weasel family, called the black-footed ferret, and it is an endangered species. And this is not that. This is the domestic relative,
okay,
likely from the European polecat, which is in the same family. These guys have been domesticated for over 2,000 years.
Wow.
So it's hard to even trace what their original roots were.
That's amazing.
So we use this domestic guide to help kids to learn about our native species of ferret, which was down to 18 individuals. So biologists captured those 18 individuals, bred them in captivity, and now there are more than 1,000 of
wow,
them back in the wild in 18 different populations.
So that's a success story.
It's a great success story. And
maybe the ferret should have been our national bird,
yeah.
our national symbol.
I'm happy the eagle is. It's a beautiful bird, and also one that's made a great comeback to this
and
area,
that
which is so
right.
fantastic.
I mean, and those are great because we want to hear some of the success stories as well. So that's certainly one of them.
Absolutely.
And oh, they're so cute. And that you would suggest as a pet, I think.
Well,
depending on if you're ready for it.
It depends on the family.
Right.
People ask me all the time, what do you think would be a great pet for my child? And what I say to people is a great pet is a family pet, which is why dogs and cats are such wonderful pets.
Yeah,
At my house, I have a German Shepherd named Luna, who
Who's
you've
been
met
here,
before.
yeah.
I love her, she loves me. This is a perfect relationship.
Right.
All of our domestic exotic animals, and we have close to 200
wow,
animals now, 83 species. These are my responsibility,
absolutely,
just like my dog is. But these were other people's poor decisions, and we're really trying to help people to make proper decisions. So whether you're getting a dog or a cat, I've got a German Shepherd, that doesn't mean that's right for everybody.
Exactly.
We've got to be making our choices. We've got to be looking at the animal and what they require, and what is it that you want out of this relationship. And if you love to just care for something, a turtle's not bad, a lizard's not bad, a frog is not bad, but it's about cleaning, it's about feeding, it's about making sure that they have what they need to be happy, healthy, and safe. And as I tell the kids, you are like the parent when you have an animal with you. And it should be long-term, should not be short-term. And for a guy like the alligator snapping turtle and my tortoises, they're going to live 150 years.
That's a long time, Chris.
Longer than any of us.
Oh my goodness. Well, people can get in touch with you at Animal Embassy, and you also travel to classrooms. You lead tours both locally and really sort of around the world, because you lead some absolutely wonderful trips. And also I want to mention that you have interns, so many of them this summer, that you're really going to be busy.
Yeah, we started with 25 high school interns this morning. We have 9 college students that started with us, and they're going to be the next generation of biologists and veterinarians and field researchers. So we're thrilled to be mentoring the next generation.
It's wonderful the way you pass it down, because you're born right here, and this is where you started your passion for animals in Darien, I think it was.
Started at the Darien Nature Center at age 12 and had great mentors starting there.
So important.
And we want to provide those experiences for kids.
It's terrific. So Animal Embassy, you have a number of wonderful programs coming up that anyone can attend at Sherwood Island. There's one, amazing adaptations.
Yep, World Wildlife is another one.
World Wildlife, and that's at Sherwood Island State Park in Westport. It's such a great park. I love
that. And it
that.
has a beautiful new nature center.
So you can log on to animalembassy.com to find out more about these great programs. Also one coming up at one of our favorite places, the Wolf Conservation Center, which you must go to. That's on July 20th. That's in South Salem. And you can meet Atka and the other ambassador wolves who have come here. Well, Atka has anyway. Last time you kind of tore up the set, but we welcome them back. Chris, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming.
Always
Happy
a pleasure.
4th.
Happy
and
4th of
hope
July.
folks will go and visit you, because it's so well worth it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And as we go to break, oh, look at the kiss. We wanted to leave you with some scenes from a very special day recently in Newtown, when literally thousands came together to say thank you to the therapy dogs who offered their support following the Sandy Hook shootings. Newtown veterinary specialists organized the ceremony, with several of our very own Pet Talk guests being honored, like Bacher the Labradoodle and also the beautiful Spartacus. There he is. Many of the dogs met with families of students on the day of that tragedy, and one parent said the dogs filled a void that no one else could. And many of those dogs also came from all across the country to offer their support. Wonderful, bravo. We'll be right back with more of Pet Talk's 4th of July party right after this.
best place